Locked On Kings host, ABC 10 of Sacramento sports anchor, Matt George, on today's show.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your host, Booney. That's right, one name. Episodes will drop Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. That's Oakland time, Vegas time, and Sacramento time. Whether you are on your way to work, driving back from work, or listening casually during the day, thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. I'm from the Bay Area, and I've been a diehard A's fan since 1981. I'm here to bring you a real fan's take, covering everything from Oakland to Sacramento to Las Vegas. This is the place for A's fans to get the latest game breakdown, team news, and more. This is where the passion of the fans take center stage. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And please hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. Today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. I am pretty fired up for today. Matt George, Locked On Kings host, ABC 10 of Sacramento sports anchor, and lifetime A's fan, joins us today to give us insight into everything that's going on with the A's and the move to Sacramento. There are still so many questions that's going on with the A's, from what Sutter Health Ballpark is going to be like, whether the relocation to Vegas is going to happen or is not going to happen really depends on what day of the week it is and who you talk to. Can Sacramento be a permanent move, and would Fisher ever sell if Vegas falls apart? First, with the A's taking Sacramento out as an identification to them, and given the fact with everything being said, as Sacramento is just a temporary stop for the A's permanent relocation to Las Vegas, is there even an appetite for baseball in Sacramento? In other words, what is the temperature in Sacramento? And I'm not talking about the thermometer, but rather the heartbeat of the city, given the fact that the A's will begin playing baseball games in Sutter Health Park in approximately 4 months. I don't think there's anybody more qualified to answer these questions than Matt George. What is the temperature out in Sacramento right now? Are they excited about the A's coming? Are they care one way or the other? Or is there any type of appetite at all?
Yeah, it depends on who you talk to. If you're talking to me, which of course you are here on this podcast, I'm not excited about it. Not because I'm not excited to have my childhood favorite team 20 minutes away from my house that I could take my son and wife to whenever I want this summer or over the next couple of summers. It's because I know what the A's are leaving behind. And I have a very, even though I'm from Sacramento, pretty much born and raised, like I have a very deep connection with Oakland A's fans. So I've had the very unpopular opinion here in Sacramento that the Kings coming, or excuse me, the A's coming here is a tragedy to some extent because of, again, what they're leaving behind and what's happened to Oakland and how this entire saga is played out. And no matter how you look at it, from my perspective, Sacramento has helped in the A's abandonment of Oakland. I do feel to some extent that Sacramento did undercut Oakland's negotiation a little bit. Even if Oakland came back to the negotiation table about the couple of years of a lease extension at the Coliseum, and I know the A's had some pretty, the Oakland had some pretty significant demands in that negotiation by the Sacramento being willing to offer a ballpark that comes with the TV contract being the same or only minorly adjusted. So the TV money still being there, giving John Fisher that out, I think really hurt any slight chance that Oakland may have had of keeping the A's there for another few years. And who knows, maybe this Vegas thing falls apart and then the Oakland A's remain permanent forever. And maybe Fisher finally has a brain and sells to an Oakland based or Bay Area based team or ownership group. Because I know there were plenty that were there that were willing to purchase the team. So talking to me, I'm not happy about it. Talking to Sacramento fans, and I'm not talking about A's fans in Sacramento because there are A's fans here, but Sacramento fans, which is primarily a Giants town, but is a baseball town, there's a lot of excitement. Like over the next 3 years, Sutter Health Park is going to be sold out, I think, on a daily basis for this team, which I think is going to be very compelling too. I know the players aren't too excited to play in a minor league ballpark, and there's good reasons for that. But the atmosphere there is going to be pretty great because this is what Sacramento does. Sacramento supports big sporting events, and Sacramento recognizes the opportunity that's here, even if it's temporary, the opportunity to kind of send a message to Major League Baseball, like, look at us, we're here, we're loud, we're special, we can support baseball if you have it here. So I think the excitement level in general for the Sacramento era of the A's, because they're not going to be called the Sacramento A's,
Right.
it's going to be exciting. That excitement level is high. I think I'm sure we'll talk about like ticket prices and ticket demand and things like that. I think that's going to be high. And especially those major games, like when the Giants come to town on 4th of July weekend, when the Yankees come to town for Mother's Day weekend, like that ticket is going to be hard to get. And that atmosphere is going to be pretty fun and pretty special. So that excitement level is high.
We had news a couple days ago with regard to the A's branding. Now, this was nothing new. When this agreement took place in April, it was known that the A's would not adopt the Sacramento name. It would just be called the Athletics. But it received some news again. I believe it was just 2 days ago with regard to them going by Athletics and taking out the Sacramento, which to me wasn't necessary. There was no reason for him to do that. I get why he's doing it, but it seems like his constant MO has been alienating fans. Did that have any type of effect, any type of discussion? Was it taken as any type of slap in the face in Sacramento by the fans, so forth?
Not that I've heard. Now, I don't want to speak for all Sacramento fans, but again, a large majority of the fans that you're going to see coming to the ballpark to support the A's are there to support Sacramento and or the team that the A's are playing. Like the majority of people that are going to come watch A's baseball over the next few years, I feel confident in saying they're not really going to be A's fans. They might become A's fans, especially if, let's say, the A's continue their momentum from the second half of last season. Brent Rooker continues to be an absolute slugger, and the A's open another one of their improbable like playoff windows on a team that is not, like you said, does not have guaranteed money before they have to pay them. Let's see if they can strike gold and make a deep playoff run before the rent is due type thing. So A's fans or Sacramento fans might become A's fans in that sense. But in my opinion, like that was one of the least egregious of the many errors / insulting moves that John Fisher and by extension Dave Kaval has made. Like that was just okay. I know Dave Kaval claimed that they're going to have a Sacramento related jersey of some sort that pays homage to the city to some extent. So there will be, in that sense, at least a nod or an ode to, okay, this is where we are for right now. I understand why the A's are doing it. I think, like, I get it. They don't want to call themselves the Las Vegas A's yet because that's not final. And in fact, that has a long freaking way to go.
Sure.
So maybe they don't want to be premature with that. And I think the A's want to make sure it's known that they're not committing to Sacramento in any kind of way. And I think the optics of calling themselves the Sacramento A's for 3 or 4 years opens the door to, wow, you're proud to call this minor league ballpark your home. You're proud to have taken a step down. You're proud of how this process is going. Because I have a feeling, even if I'm not embarrassed of Sacramento and embarrassed of the crowd in the city of, and even Sutter Health Park, I think is a gorgeous ballpark. But this entire saga has been extremely embarrassing for the A's, and by proxy, extremely embarrassing for the MLB. I think it's just been an embarrassment of a situation. So they're trying to make the best out of it, and I don't think not having Sacramento in the name is that big of a deal. But that doesn't mean that there won't be a Sacramento in front of the A's in the future at some point, because I don't think the city of Sacramento gets involved in this if they don't think there's a chance that this could be permanent.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Ibotta. Love the holidays but hate grocery shopping? Ibotta is making your Thanksgiving easier with cash back on everything you need to make your perfect holiday meal. So you can get the turkey and your favorite sides for free. This month, Ibotta is giving new users 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving feast. Just add the offers in the app to redeem for everything you need to make your Thanksgiving feast complete. All you have to do is shop at your favorite retailers and upload your receipt. Download the Ibotta app now and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving feast starting November 1st. Just go to the App Store or Google Play and download the free Ibotta app and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. When I personally look at a sports book, there are two things that are most important to me. Is it easy to deposit? And more importantly, is it easy to withdraw? FanDuel checks both boxes for me. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel's America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live, play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. I've said in the past, the A's leaving Oakland has been in the works since beginning of 2000, somewhere in that sense. Bud Selig has wanted them out. He handpicked Leo Wolf and John Fisher when there were better ownership groups out there. I mean, Leo Wolf was his damn fraternity brother at University of Wisconsin. They had Reggie Jackson and Bill Gates, who were overbid for the team.
Yep.
So this was definitely an inside job. There's no question about it. Ever since all the renderings and all the talks about East Oakland and Howard Terminal and San Jose and you name it has been smoke and mirrors. So for me, I saw this happening for a very, very long time. It's not much of a surprise. It's tragic that it's finally happened. I thought he made matters 10 times worse by moving to Sacramento. I thought he could, if he intended on going to Vegas, well, shoot, you could have stayed in Oakland for the next 3. Okay. It was just ridiculous. Sacramento did not need to happen, but we're here. It's done. 2 parts to my question. First and foremost, you mentioned a little bit, you're right. Vegas has a lot of questions to it. I have gone back and forth with it. I had one episode where I said, nope, they're gone. Then the next day news came out with financing. I think they're going, but hey, that could change tomorrow. It's that rapid with regard to the news, and things could change on a dime. Do you think they are going to Vegas? 1, and 2, if not, which it may very well be, Could you see Fisher selling off to Vivek?
I am not on the ground in Vegas, so I can't claim to have any extensive knowledge of the situation. I do not put it past John Fisher to screw this up because he is notorious at screwing things up. Number one. And number two, from every conversation that I've had and everything that I read, it feels less and less likely. I mean, this process in general, like we said, has been embarrassing, but it also doesn't feel fluid at all. Like
No,
every time they release renderings, there's something wrong with the renderings. They finally blew up the Tropicana, but
that was going to happen anyway.
that's
Yeah.
the only physical progress that they've made. And like you said, I think it would happen regardless of them. So there's still questions about financing. There's still there's so much that still has to happen, and the team is already left Oakland. So you say 3 or 4 years in Sacramento to get that ballpark built. They haven't even gotten the thing approved, let alone gotten shovels in the ground to get that process started. So I am naturally skeptical that anything is going to happen. And look, Vivek Ranadive has a relationship with John Fisher from their time together in the Bay. So there is an element of two business owners kind of helping each other out here. But Vivek has his own priorities or his own ambitions in this deal. Number one is he spoke very openly about it. He's very much like, let me put Sacramento on the map. Let me do what's best for Sacramento, and making Sacramento a multi-major league sports town is something that's at the top of mind for him. So he's trying to capitalize on the opportunity to, at the very least, send the MLB a message. Look at what we can do. Look at what the city has. But it goes further than that, because Vivek's a businessman. Vivek's a multimillionaire. Like, he knows the game, and he knows what's going on here. And if he's friends with Fisher, he also then therefore understands Fisher and understands Fisher's faults and things that tend to go wrong when Fisher gets his hands involved in it. So there's no way, in my opinion, that the Kings and Vivek don't have their eye closely on this Vegas thing falling apart, and then they go, hey, here's a ballpark plan in Sacramento. The last 3 or 4 years are going great. MLB, look at the ticket sales. Look at the fan support. You still got the TV deal. We're right here. Let's make this transition easy. Because I'm of the belief that if Vegas falls apart, the MLB is going to go to Fisher and go, just sell the damn team and let's move on. Because this whole thing has been an embarrassment. I know MLB owners are not thrilled with everything going on, even if they voted unanimously to make this happen. I think Commissioner Rod Manfred is an absolute buffoon, how he's tied the knot so closely with Fisher in this entire situation. So in my opinion, the Sharks are circling, or the Crows are circling, or the
Right.
whatever term you want to use, metaphor you want to use, in Sacramento. They're keeping a very close eye on this, and they're going to, while helping John Fisher couch surf for the next 3 or 4 years, they're also going to put themselves in a position to where they can provide the best offer, and I think the most convenient offer to Major League Baseball if this falls through. That being said, the Matt George sympathetic Oakland perspective of this, what I think should happen is, when this falls apart, I think whether it's Lacob or another Oakland-based ownership group, they should get the priority for a sale and then move this team back to the Bay where they belong and build a ballpark there and get that whole thing started. But I think that's probably wishful thinking at this point.
That's my hope as well. Absolutely. I just don't think MLB will allow that.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, they've been wanting him. They've been trying to push him out for 20 years, and now they got them out. Now they're going to send them back because Lacob is. I can see Lacob involved. I can see him and Vivek partnering up to buy the A's and move them in Sacramento permanently, build a stadium out there, so forth.
Sacramento is excited to come to watch this team.
Okay.
And also Sacramento is excited to support Major League Baseball here. I think regardless of who's playing, regardless of who's coming here, it could have been any team. Could have been the Toronto Blue Jays. Could have been the not that they were moving, the Tampa Bay Rays. Doesn't matter. Could have been any team. I think Sacramento would sell out that ballpark for the chance to send the message and the chance to adopt a baseball team for 3 or 4 years. The demand is going to be extremely high, therefore ticket prices are going to be extremely high. I mean, it's especially for those big games that I mentioned, like when the Yankees come to town, when the Giants come to town every single year. God, if the Dodgers ever come to Sacramento over the next 3-4 years, which I'm sure at some point they will, good luck with Shohei. The idea of Shohei Ohtani launching nukes into the Sacramento River, like it's going to be very compelling, and tickets are going to be hard to get. Now, I know there was some kind of controversy and things of that nature with the season ticket plans and no guarantees of playoffs, which is very, very interesting. If the A's make the playoffs and then say, okay, we're going to go to a different location to play playoff baseball, again, add another just branch to this embarrassment tree.
Yeah.
And if there's some loony, crazy world where the A's, if there's even a possibility of the A's going back to Oakland to
I
the
was just thinking
Coliseum
that for the playoff game.
Oh my God, would that not be the most embarrassing, disgusting, excuse me, for ass backwards way of just it just would be so stupid, but I would
Be
not
ironic too.
pass. Yeah, 100%. And I
Yeah.
would not put it past. So I know there's some fans that have serious financial commitments to season tickets that are
Yeah.
like, what the? I was not aware of this. And so, but I don't think that's going to deter too many people. The secondary ticket market is already crazy. Like I already have family members of mine going, hey, when are the Giants going? Can we go see the Giants? Hey, let's go to these games. Like we have Cubs fans in our family. The opening series is against the Cubs. The opening series at Sutter Health Park is against the Cubs. These tickets are going to be crazy, but they're
July 4th weekend against the Giants.
Right. They're going to sell. They're going to sell. And people are going to go. People are going to spend a lot of money. And it's going to be a big financial boom for Fisher and Vivek and whatever partnership that they have. And I think it is going to open the eye of the MLB a little bit. Like not only is the fan support there great, not only the crowd's great, but financially, there's a chance maybe it's not even a chance. I think in terms of ticket revenue, Sacramento will blow Oakland out of the water over the last couple of years just because of the price they're willing to pay and the amount of fans that are willing to show up. But also, I don't say that as an insult to Oakland because many of those fans are either going to be ignorant or blatantly don't care about how Oakland fans were treated. And I know Oakland fans didn't show up to A's games because they didn't exist. They didn't show up to A's games because one, the product wasn't good, and two, the ownership didn't deserve their money. So Sacramento is a fresh start for them in terms of they're going to financially capitalize on the excitement of the city and the city's willingness and desire to attract Major League Baseball here permanently. So there's going to be a lot of money flowing through that and a lot of money out of people's pockets and wallets in order to go to games. And I think that's just going to be the way it is, at least for the first year.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APR on uninvested cash that can be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. In the surrounding areas of Sutter Health, does it have that game day feel as far as your restaurants, your bars, that sort of thing? Or is it kind of like the Oakland Coliseum was, you park and go in and so forth?
Yeah, West Sacramento is very residential. Very resident. In fact, there's an apartment complex that is directly attached to the primary parking lot for Sutter Health Park. And then you go past Sutter Health where you're getting now towards the iconic Tower Bridge that connects West Sacramento to downtown Sacramento, and all around there is residential apartment complexes, things like there. I'm sure there's some businesses, some restaurants, some shops, things of that nature, but it is not a ballpark district setup by any means. It's also in many ways one way in and one way out. A good kind of test or measuring stick for what game days are going to be like in Sacramento for the A's happened earlier this year when the Savannah Bananas came to Sacramento for a couple of days, and they sold out. The event was extremely popular, as it always is, and parking slash getting out of the event was a nightmare, a
Wow.
complete nightmare. People saying it took over an hour just to get out of there. Like that's going to be something that is going to just I don't know how they fix that. And again, I know Sacramento is putting in upgrades into Sutter Health Park. Vivek Ranadive, who owns Sutter Health Park and owns the River Cats, is also the primary owner of the Sacramento Kings. So I know they are working on improvements to make the ballpark itself as hospitable as possible for an MLB team for minimum 3 years. But I don't know how much they can do in the surrounding area to make that place more optimal for the crowds that they're going to draw. I just don't. I don't know what they could possibly do because that land is so taken up. So the logistics are going to be tough, and I think that's just going to have to be you're just going to have to accept that as a fan going to an A's game, especially a weekend game or a super popular game against a major opponent. It's going to be an all day event, right? If
Yes.
the game's being played during the day, prepare to bake because it's going to be
Yes.
hot. If the game's being played at night, which a lot of these games are going to try to have at night to avoid that heat, fantastic. Have a good time. After the game is done, you're going to be getting home after 11 o'clock because it's going to take you a while to get out of there.
Is that right?
Or fans
Wow.
are gonna have to start leaving early, and some very
Okay.
well might in like the 7th, 8th inning just to make sure they get out of there on time. So I think logistically, it's going to be a bit of a concern. There's definitely not like a ballpark district around there for fans to hang out before games. They'll go to downtown Sac or Old Sac, hop over the bridge, and then come over.
What is the feel to those that don't know about watching a game at Sutter Health Park?
Very family oriented, but it's not the same as it was. And this is also, I think, a change of baseball and popularity in general. When I was growing up, I grew up with A's legends coming through Sutter Health Park at the time called Rayleigh Field. And Rayleigh Field has a hallway. They have a stairwell to where you get up to the second level, which is where the suites are. And on that stairwell are jerseys of all the biggest names that have ever come through the River Cats organization. And the vast majority of them are A's, from Dallas Braden to Josh Donaldson to Zito to like, there's so many Ellis. There's so many names that I watched as a kid. And what I remember of Rayleigh Field growing up was packed out crowds, the A's winning the A's organization winning multiple championships at the AAA level, and all these players that I watched as a kid going on to have great careers as the Oakland A's until they became too expensive, and then they went on to the next part of their as has been the A's way for my entire life. That is not the same, but I'm hoping we get back to that because over the last, I would say, maybe 10 years, and it does not have anything to do with the affiliation change to the Giants. Over the last 10 years or so, it hasn't been the same. The environment hasn't been the same. The draw hasn't been the same. The popularity hasn't been the same. But again, I think that more speaks to baseball and less to Sacramento. But the empty seats and the 5,000, 6,000 crowds, those aren't going to be a thing anymore. It's going to be very, very packed. It's going to be very, very busy. But when you have a minor league ballpark, the best thing you can be is family oriented. And I think they're going away from that with their ticket prices. It's not going to be so family friendly anymore. So we'll see how the dynamic of that ballpark changes because they can play major league as much as they want to. They don't look major league, they don't sound major league, and they aren't major league. So the dynamic is going to be different. And I'm curious to see what that looks like here in Sacramento.
How about you as a fan, Matt? You were an Oakland fan for X amount of years. They're in Sacramento now. Are you going to support them, or is it just going to be different? I had a listener on the show the other day, and he had a perfect take to me. He said, "I'm going to support them passively."
Hmm.
And what he basically meant is, I'm going to root for them. I'm going to watch them on TV. I'm going to root from my couch. I'm not going to any games. It's the type of baseball I like. But again, I'm going to support them passively.
So I have a cop-out answer because I work for ABC 10 News
Okay.
here in Sacramento as one of our sports anchors and sports reporters. So I will be obligated to be there out of necessity for the job. So I will be credentialed to be able to go there, which, by the way, one of the improvements that they need to make to Sutter Health Field or Sutter Health Park is extending the press area, because their press area is not even close to big enough for what they're going to draw. That being said, my family will go. And I understand that this is where I'm kind of a hypocrite, because I very much stood with Oakland, was very much vocally in support of Oakland and unhappy and disgusted by everything that happened. But my favorite team coming to my home for however long is an opportunity for me to take my 3-year-old son to he's been to
Yeah.
River Cats games.
Right. Yeah.
And to be able to take him now, God knows how many times we're going to be able to, because how freaking expensive it's going to be. My wife is a huge baseball fan. Her family is primarily Giants fans, but they're going to come out to support because they love baseball. So I would be lying on this show if I said that I wasn't going to go and at some point spend my own money to watch an A's game in person at Sutter Health Park.
I get
And
it.
I hate the fact that to some extent helps John Fisher, because I absolutely cannot stand that man. I cannot
Right.
stand his, but I'm also know I'm a tiny, my money is a tiny blip on the radar of all the
Yeah.
money that's going through that organization and going to Vegas and blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
So I have to kind of swallow my pride in that sense. So I will continue to support the A's. I've had many people ask, like, when the A's go to Vegas, will you come over to the Giants? And I felt the same. I'm a Raiders fan. I felt the same way, like, okay, when the Raiders left, will I come over to the Niners side? And I kind of tried and I couldn't do it. Like,
Yeah.
you just are so associated with the brand. So the A's, as long as it's the green and gold in the A's, unless they completely rebrand, that will be my club. That will be my team. And I will continue to support no matter where they go, and especially that they're here. I wouldn't have paid money to go to Salt Lake City. That's for sure, to watch them in person.
Absolutely.
But them
Absolutely.
being in my backyard, yeah, I'm gonna go. My family's gonna go, and then I will be there many, many times for work purposes as well.
It is constantly changing. It is constantly moving. Matt, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate your insight. I appreciate your take. Very valuable stuff, man. I truly appreciate your time.
Absolute pleasure. And for Oakland A's fans listening, I still feel for you. I appreciate you so much. And I still have hope that this thing ends up working out for Oakland to some extent. It might be slim, but it was also very slim for Sacramento to keep the Kings when Seattle came calling, and they ended up holding on too. So it's possible. It's possible. So let's see if hopefully it can happen.
Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.